The opening match against Arsenal didn't deliver the result Manchester United had hoped for, yet the emotions for both the players and the fans were a confusing mix of joy and sadness. On the pitch, the disappointment was etched on every face. We saw Matheus Cunha, Lenny Yoro, and Matthijs de Ligt slump to the ground. Bruno Fernandez and Ahmed sat with blank stares, while Bryan Mbeumo and Benjamin Sesko simply gasped for air after 90 minutes of sheer effort. In the stands, the silence wasn't due to a poor performance, but a collective sigh. The team had given their all, but victory had eluded them once again. However, the club's board seemed unfazed. Their focus was on the performance, especially that of the new signings who stepped onto the Premier League stage with remarkable confidence and fighting spirit. Kuna and Mbeumo, the two newest faces in the squad, made an immediate and powerful impact with their sharp passing, relentless pressing, and dangerous attempts on goal. This performance showed a United side that was much more incisive than the miserable one we saw last season. The stats back up what fans were seeing on the pitch. United had 22 shots on goal, their highest tally in a Premier League match against Arsenal since the famous 8-2 victory in 2011. David Raya in the Arsenal net was forced into 7 saves, the most of any goalkeeper that game week. This detail alone proves the Red Devils have changed their approach. They're no longer sitting back and waiting for an opponent's mistake. Instead, they're taking the game to their rivals, pressing them high and creating chance after chance. Yet, an invisible curse still seems to haunt Amorim's team. This was the 12th time in 43 matches under his management that his side failed to score. The anxiety from this persistent goal drought might worry some fans, but looking at the big picture, it's undeniable that United has undergone a significant transformation after just one transfer window. Amorim said before the season that he wanted his players to show more heart and that better days would come after the storm passed, and they certainly fought with a fiery passion against Arsenal. Cunha, in particular, was sensational. He was a perfect hybrid of a striker and a playmaker, constantly dropping deep to receive the ball, turning past defenders and creating moments of magic. There was one moment where he dribbled past 5 Arsenal players, only for his shot to lack the venom it needed. Another backheel flick was so audacious it launched a dangerous counterattack that almost sent the Old Trafford crowd into a frenzy. Though he didn't score, his performance showed the presence of a true leader in the attack. Bryan Mbeumo on the right wing was equally impressive. Already a seasoned Premier League veteran, he slotted in seamlessly. His explosive bursts of pace, powerful headers, and relentless pressing are exactly what United has been missing for so long. He had a great chance with a tricky header from a Patrick Dorgu cross, but Raya denied him. Unfortunately, the final touch wasn't sharp enough to turn these chances into goals. But the sheer volume of opportunities proved this was a different United. A team with clear ideas, a plan, and a burning hunger. The face of this new-look Manchester United is one of dominance, flair, and a fearlessness against a very strong opponent. Amorim said it best after the match. "We proved today that we can win any game in the Premier League. We were the better team against a great team like Arsenal. They no longer want to live in the past. They have a new style, a new belief, and a hopeful start." The statistics are the clearest evidence. United held 61.1% of possession throughout the match. This is only the 3rd time since the start of 2016 that they've had over 60% possession against a Big Six rival. The other 2 times were against Tottenham Hotspur, a team United has traditionally dominated. To do it against Arsenal, a team at the top of their game, shows just how different this United is after the summer transfer window. Of course, possession doesn't always guarantee a win. But remember last season? United's biggest fear was their impotence on the ball, their lack of personality, and their inability to pose a threat. This match was different. They played with belief, with determination, and with the clear identity of a real team. In the 2024-25 season, some people said that only Bruno Fernandez was capable of carrying the team, but now it looks like Fernandez won't be alone anymore. Bruno was still brilliant against Arsenal, What's special is that he didn't have to force long-range shots or rely on hopeful attempts like he did last season. Instead, he was the deep-lying creator, dictating the tempo and feeding the front three. His movement and how he opened up spaces allowed United to maintain a continuous flow. The role of a true leader was on full display, not flashy but incredibly effective. Among the players receiving the ball from Bruno, Matheus Cunha stood out the most. The Brazilian was virtually unstoppable for 90 minutes. Everything he showed makes him the perfect fit for Amorim's system. At Wolverhampton, he was often a lone striker who had to do everything himself. But at United, he moves wide, stretches the defense, and turns every bit of space into an opportunity. The stats highlight the difference. Cunha's average distance per carry was 18.2 meters, the highest among all 112 Premier League players, with at least 7 carries last weekend. His average speed per carry was 15.5 meters, also a league high. In other words, every time Cunha gets on the ball, he is a danger, and every defense has to be on high alert. Bryan Mbeumo wasn't as explosive as Kuna, but was the one who set the rhythm for the first half, keeping United's attacks from breaking down. The Cameroonian international's ball control was crisp. He made intelligent runs both with and without the ball, and he has a fantastic engine. He carried the ball a total of 240.8 meters, more than most other attacking players. He also had 5 shots, a number only 3 other players in the league topped. Besides the 2 new attacking stars, we can't forget Mason Mount. The other player in the attack may not have been as flashy, but his role was quietly vital. He shadowed Arsenal's new signing, Martin Zubimendi, and limited his influence to the bare minimum. At the same time, Mount's clean ball handling helped United keep things moving smoothly in midfield. He created a couple of chances and even tried his luck with 2 shots. Overall, his finishing style still leans heavily towards cutting in from the left and curling the ball. He'll need to add more variety to truly make his mark. Despite all the bright spots, a familiar ghost came back to haunt United. The goal conceded against Arsenal came from a corner kick, an obsession that has plagued them for 2 years. Since the start of the 2023-24 season, they've conceded 23 goals from corners, more than any other team. Ricardo Calafiori's goal was just another painful reminder. The tricky in-swinging ball from Declan Rice forced Bayindir to act, but all he could do was get a weak touch on it as it sailed into the net. Even if Calafiori hadn't been there, the trajectory likely would have been a direct goal. This image brings to mind the goals scored directly from the corner flag by Cunha when he was at Wolverhampton and by Son Heung-min of Tottenham last December. Once again, the problem was a lack of communication. William Saliba's pressure made it difficult for Bayindir, while Mount wasn't aggressive enough to help his goalkeeper. In the end, the confusion cost them a goal. You can blame Mount, you can criticize the defense, but the goalkeeper has to take the biggest share of the responsibility. This is clearly an unhealed wound, an old pain that lingers despite every attempt to patch it up. And most importantly, Manchester United didn't score. And if you don't score, you can't win. You might think this is a negative take, but for a club like Manchester United, it's a deeply uncomfortable sign. This United side is clearly different, but they still have a long way to go to reclaim their pride. They've shown a new style, a new spirit, and some promising new players. But at the same time, they still have to face the cracks that they haven't been able to hide. The loss to Arsenal only confirms that the road back to glory will be long, and that Amorim and his players will need more than one transfer window to solve all their lingering problems.